My, oh my, welcome into another live edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. We'll give you our final thoughts on the Embiid story and the fallout. Could we be headed to another standoff? And Summer League finale tonight in Las Vegas. All that and more on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This particular episode is brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Well, I hope everyone finished their reading assignment. I know we talked about it at length yesterday. We'll give our final thoughts today on the Joel Embiid story on ESPN, as well as one comment I caught from the writer when he was interviewed on ESPN. I believe this was yesterday as part of NBA Today with Malika Andrews. I want to get that in there. But, Keith, we talked about the trust issues with the Sixers. The one question I have for you, and we'll get into this, whether or not it could be a standoff between Daryl Morey and the Sixers and Joel Embiid. But my one question is, I'm still on that intern thing. His rehabilitation the first time around was overseen by an intern, not specific, not if it was a medical intern, a staffer that was just giving updates or what. But my question is, Keith, regardless, an intern, how far along have the 76ers come in terms of taking care of their players, especially a guy like Joel Embiid, Paul George, or in the future, Tyrese Maxey?
I mean, I think they've come along, a long way. I mean, think about it. Nowadays, it's weird. Like, it's funny. They just got rid of one of their doctors a couple months ago. And it just seems like that's a hard job to have over there. They're always getting rid of people. But when you look at it, Joel Embiid has his own personal person. Paul George has a team. Tyrese Maxey has a physical therapist. But at the same time, I think they've come a long way. And the thing about the intern part, though, I really would have loved for that to be a little bit more explained because, I want to know if that was a guy labeled an intern, but he basically worked somewhere else, but he was like interning with the Sixers for that season, or if that makes sense to you, like sure, if he was actually a professional who did it, but then he was with the Sixers, and since he didn't have a full-time job, they called him an intern, or he didn't have a permanent job. But it's one of those things, like the 76ers, their medical team is always going to be criticized. And even with like the guys that they brought in, a lot of them, and even when Embiid, the people working with Embiid, like David Martin and all them, they came from Australia. Some people said they were like, they did Olympic type of sports, and they were being criticized for that. So I think you really can't win. Then they had another doctor who came, and so to me, they came a long way. But I think it's also a lot of the players have hired their own people. Not to be repetitive, but I know Embiid had Kim, Maxey has a guy now. And PG has people overseeing what he does. And this is in addition to what the team has supplies.
Yeah, and look, my main point yesterday was trust is a huge issue for Joel Embiid, personally and professionally, as it pertains to the 76ers. And the first kind of standoff that happened was highlighted in this story. And it was Joel Embiid telling the team after his first surgery, when he just got drafted by the Sixers, he's going to miss his rookie season. He just got drafted. They go through it for a year. The entire year he's saying, my foot still hurts. This doesn't feel right. Nothing's good. And they're like, you're not eating right. You're not taking it seriously. You're not working hard enough. And he's like, no, my foot doesn't feel like it's healed. Finally, they go to the doctor again. They get the x-ray and they go, oh, look, the bone hasn't healed. What do you know? And Embiid felt vindicated, but that was the first kind of standoff there. Then the next one happened where he had to have surgery in Qatar, however you want to pronounce it. And then you're looking at maybe right now, the 76ers headed to another standoff if Joel Embiid, as he said in the article, is approaching this offseason the most differently than he's approached any other offseason in terms of making sure he doesn't rush anything then could we? And on the other side of it, Daryl Morey is saying, hey, yeah, we fully expect him to be ready for training camp and to be able to attack the season and all that. This seems to be two different points of view. If Joel Embiid's saying that he's not going to rush it, then I doubt he's going to be ready for the regular season. If Daryl Morey is saying he is going to be ready for training, not even just the regular season, Keith, excuse me, but the training camp even, I just think that we're going to be headed to another Sixers Embiid standoff. How likely, and I'm not asking for a percentage, but how likely would you say that would be when it comes to Embiid's camp versus the Sixers?
It's funny because I did a mailbag and somebody asked the same question, and I really wouldn't put a percentage on it. And the reason being is because because I think Joel is in total control of this, right? And if Joel says, guess what, y'all, I'm ready to play, he's going to play, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, when he says that I'm not going to rush to come back, if we remember, Joel Embiid did not. Now, if he was rushing, and then you're like wondering, like, yo, what really happened? He was rushing because, think about it, he missed the entire preseason. Then he missed the first 6 games of the season for his knee. And then he served a 3-game suspension, right? So he didn't play until I believe it was November the 11th when he came back. I believe that was the date. I know it was against the Knicks. And he was horrible shooting the ball. I think he was 2 for 11 from the field. He looked shot. So if we consider that rushing, then it's like, yo, he's going to take forever. But also the one thing I will say about Joel Embiid is Joel is one of those guys who'll tell you he's not doing anything, but then he's secretly working, trying to see what goes on. To me, more so when we talk about this whole situation, is Joel letting it be known that I'm in total control. You guys aren't going to make no decisions for me. Daryl Morey can say whatever. He's hopeful, this and that. Joel's like, I ain't going to do whatever I want to do. In the past, I tried to work with y'all. When I took a couple, like I would come back and I'd take games off and I came back again. I honestly believe that this message that Joel said is, nah, we're doing stuff on my time, not your time, my time. So, but again, if you want me to do what I didn't do in my mailbag, which is on Inquirer.com, if y'all want to give it a read, but, it doesn't sound like Joel is going to come back at the beginning of the season, right? It just doesn't. But again, Joel is that type of guy that he wants to be in control. So I don't know what he's doing now. You know what I mean? No one knows. But at the same time, I feel like if you ask me gun to the head, I would probably say no. But at the same time, no, at the beginning of the season. But at the same time, Joel's that type of guy that he likes surprising people. He does, depending on how you feel.
Oh, he likes drama, does he?
Yeah, I think Joel is that Willis Reed type. Joel's Joel's Willis Reed type of guy. Like it's always 30 minutes before the game. You're like, yo, is Joel playing? And they're like, oh, we don't know. He hasn't told us yet. And he's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm playing. Then all of a sudden, he walks on the court and then drops 50. You know what I mean? That's Joel Embiid. That's Joel.
One of my favorite takeaways from JJ Redick's time here in Philadelphia is when Embiid got hurt. And look, this was a boo-boo. He didn't miss any time with this. I can't remember what the injury was specifically, but he went down, like he just got tackled by Zach Bond, in the middle of the court. And JJ Redick, after the game, you guys were asking about it, and JJ Redick was just like, I will just say that Joel Embiid might be the most dramatic player I've ever played with. And I'm like, if that's JJ Redick, he's been around the league. He's played with some players. He's speaking from experience. So I always keep that in the back of my head when thinking about Joel Embiid. But and for the record, I did read your mailbag story. That's why I wanted to be specific. Like, I'm not trying to nail you down for the
it's all good. It's all good.
But I gotta say, one of our takeaways from yesterday was that he's not playing. He's not playing at the beginning of the season. He's going to take this as slowly as possible. Now, that's great for 2 reasons. One, good. You be at your pace so that when you do come back, there's nobody to blame other than yourself, okay? The other is it's not an Olympic year, Keith. Last year, he kind of took things at his own pace as well by choosing to play in the Olympics. I don't care how much they want to, quote, swat that topic away. That's not going away in my mind. Played in the Olympics, wasn't ready for the regular season. So, yes, take this offseason slowly as possible, please. Now, Keith, when we come back, I do want to get to some other things, but when we come back, there was one note of optimism that I picked up from the writer of the Joel Embiid story when he was being interviewed by Malika Andrews on ESPN. And this, if you're someone that says Joel Embiid is great, he's going to be fine, y'all being too negative, blah blah blah, then this would be a little breadcrumb of positivity, Keith. A little breadcrumb, and some people might turn it into a whole loaf, but for me, it's just a crumb. But we'll get to that when we return. This is Locked On Sixers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. I've told you guys about OpenPhone before, and I'll tell you again just how fantastic OpenPhone is. OpenPhone is where it's at. If you're running a small business, OpenPhone is what you need. If you're running a small business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe a plumber or another service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you sit there and wait? No. You kept calling. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. And how about this? OpenPhone is offering our listeners and our viewers 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's OpenPhone, OpenPhone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. How amazing is that? The shared inbox feature with OpenPhone is also a game changer, so your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. So once again, 20% off for our listeners and viewers for your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's openphone.com/lockedonnba. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. So here's a little nugget, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
The last few years of his prime, quote unquote, when the reporter that wrote the article was asked by Malika Andrews, basically for a takeaway, he talked about Joel Embiid being as healthy as he could be for, quote, the last few years of his prime. Now, this struck me as optimistic because we both read this article and our takeaway was this could be, and your takeaway specifically was, could this be the beginning of a goodbye? Could this be laying the foundation, the first domino to fall? Like when you're a kid and your parents tell you, hey, get in the car, we're leaving. And then they're still talking to the other adults for like 20 minutes, you know? Hey, this is the preemptive goodbye. This leads me to believe from a guy that just sat down with Joel Embiid, got exclusive access to him for this very long article that detailed everything from initials being on bathroom towels to how long curtains were in his piano room. Did not skip a beat on any of the details. Is this part of Joel Embiid's not winding down, but just realizing if I have a prime left, I'm going to be as prepared for the next few years of that prime. I'm going to be as prepared as possible. That's one little nugget, Keith, I took away that said, okay, maybe he is not eyeing the end just around the corner, but he's preparing to get whatever he's got left out over the next couple of years.
Man, I don't know about that. I mean, it sounds good, right? I mean,
Right.
It does sound really. It sounds good, and I get where the guy is coming out and saying that, right? But since Joel Embiid has, and again, like this is a fact right now. Since Joel Embiid had that knee surgery, for his meniscus, when he injured against the Golden State Warriors, he's played in a total of what he played a 19 games the 1 year, and then he played what? Let me make sure I get it right. He played in 19 last year, and then he played in 11 the year before. So since that injury.
Does that
So
include
when
the
we
playoffs?
look at that, huh? Yeah, including the playoffs.
Including the playoffs.
Right?
Okay.
Including the playoffs. So when you say that, we're talking about 30 games, dude. So yes, I get it. He was in his prime playing the best basketball of his career before that time. And everybody talks about it. But at the same time, dude, you can't say that he's had 2 surgeries and only played in 30 games, right? Over a year and a half. So a season and a half, rather. So when you say that, it's okay. Like, to me, yeah, it's a problem. Like, to me, when you come out with a story like this, and maybe we talked about this yesterday, but typically when you give a guy access and you're explaining everything, but you never explained it before, typically when guys talk about that, it's kind of like the end is near and they know it. Mm-hmm. And they want people to know what they're going through. I mean, they do.
Yeah, and, my side of the story.
Huh?
My side of the story.
Yeah, my side of the story. But also it's kind of like, maybe I can't be the player that I am. But I want to let everybody know, everybody in Philadelphia, this blue-collar town where people want you to run through a wall, that I tried. And this is what you need to know. Yeah, maybe I'm not that player. It's kind of like you want people to have some sympathy for you. Mm-hmm. That's how I took it a little bit. I mean, granted, this is how he feels, but it was something that he never said before. Never. Like, he would never talk about it. Look, I'm good enough to play. I'm good enough to play. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You can be helpful, but to me, 3 surgeries in 9 seasons, 2 and 14 in 14 months, 30 games total. The last time he played, if he would play 6 games in a row, then they would sit him down 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to get hyped up on him getting 70 points and all that when after that he struggles.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had to prepare a fan base, like if I had to address all of the 76ers fans in the world, I would say this is what I believe you need to prepare for. You need to prepare for Joel Embiid not playing maybe till January. And to be honest with you, Keith, I just want the Sixers to be in reach of the play-in tournament or a playoff spot in the last month of the season, last month and a half of the season. And then if Joel Embiid comes back then and saves everything for a playoff push and the playoffs, I'm fine with that. Because I think I might have said this on our first show together. I don't care. The Sixers have trained us into thinking that the regular season is for sheer entertainment. But what the postseason is, it's what it's all about. And it's all about not just making it out of the second round anymore. It's all about winning an NBA title. So I don't care if the Sixers get a 50-win season. You had a bunch of those under Brett Brown. I don't need that. I need success in the playoffs. That's what I need. And everyone's talking about how wide open the East is this year. You're looking at Tatum. You're looking at Halliburton. These guys being out. The Sixers need to go up there and beat a team like the Cavs, and they can do that if they have somewhat of a healthy Embiid and Paul George. My whole thing with the Sixers this year is let me know that things are progressing, but if you don't play till January, if you don't play till March, then so be it. I just want you to be in a position where you can be in the play-in tournament hunt, the playoff hunt, and just be ready to make a push at the end of the year. Because everything else, I've seen it before. I've seen 50-win seasons before. I've seen the Sixers be a number 1 seed before. And it's all ended the same as it did in the Andre Iguodala era of the Sixers, which was not being able to get past Game 7 of the second round. So if I had to caution anyone that's a Sixers fan about what to expect this season, expect the least from Joel Embiid, but I do expect him to play. I don't think it'll be at an MVP level, but it'll certainly, to use your word, it'll be very helpful to the Sixers, I think, when it matters most, and that's during a playoff push. I think that's a fair way to look at it. Some people might look at it as overall, negative, but it's real. That's truly what I believe is going to happen with the Sixers team, where Embiid's not going to start the season. It's going to be a standoff for a bit. and then he's going to try to let it rip right around the time the playoffs come around.
True, I get it. But here's the thing, man. Like, this isn't how you want to start a season off.
Sure.
Like, this is drama, dude. Like, I mean, first it starts off with, Daryl Morey comes out and he says, I need all three of these guys healthy to win a championship, right? I mean, yeah, exactly. To be a championship contender. So then on Monday we find out. Now, mind you, the dude talking about Paul George, he got hurt last week. But we found out on Monday that he was having surgery. Now, this comes, who knows? Maybe it happened on Friday. Who knows when he got hurt? But they said last week. So next thing you know, we realized Paul George is hurt. Okay. Then all of a sudden, Joel Embiid comes out with this article. This thing, come on, man. People sitting here talking about playoffs. Now, not only that, you got guys on the team. Everyone's catching a stray. At first, people were saying it was Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon goes on Twitter, which Eric Gordon normally doesn't do, is a nice guy, and he's defending himself to a guy on Twitter. So then all of a sudden, some people, like, okay, well, was it Kyle Lowry, right? Then, oh yeah, that's my man, you. But then I get up this morning, and now people are talking about Kelly Oubre, right? So
right, yeah.
So my thing is, they're going to go down the list to say, is it this guy? Is it that guy? Is it this guy? Is it that guy? So now you got people in the locker room like, why am I being implemented in this BS? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I wasn't the one who was showing up late for everything, right? Or I wasn't the one this and that. Yeah, we had drama. Like, so it's kind of like this is a time to move on. Everybody get away, do what they got to do. We have VJ Edgecombe. People saying we wanted to tank so we can get this pick. We have VJ Edgecombe, and now it's more drama, man. Like, dude, this is worse than the Housewives of Atlanta. Like, it is. It's drama, dude. Like, for real. And they're talking about winning the championship. There's no way in heck they're going to win something like with this. You're not. It's drama, dude. Like, it's kind of like, for really, they could have a reality show, the 76ers locker room right about now. Yeah. So it's just crazy. And we're talking about, in the playoffs, Nah, man. Like, nah. It's nah.
What would it be? Real Housewives of Camden? Well, that would be a different show altogether. Real Sixers of Camden, Real Sixers of Philly. I don't know, man. But I'd watch it. I'd watch that.
But here's the thing. It's kind of like, it's kind of like it looked like this thing might be time for the 76ers and Joel maybe have to go their own separate ways, because it's like to a point where, and he has a lot of money that you can't really trade him and stuff like that. But I don't know if this front office that they have right now, based off of his statements, if they can repair whatever they have right now. Like, I just don't see it, because it's going to be this lot is toxic right now, dude. And it's been toxic this way for a while. Like, we talk about the culture. Man, the culture's been trashed from day one, and it appears that it has not gotten any better. It just hasn't. You know what I mean? And is now you got it's like you either pro Joel Embiid or anti Joel Embiid with the fan base. But they shouldn't be talking about this right now. What they should be talking about is, man, we got a chance to get out of the second round. But it's bad, dude. It's bad.
Look, real quick, just 10 seconds on this. I mean, what the best case scenario, which I don't believe is going to happen, but from a Sixers brass perspective, Embiid retires. Like, he tries to play this year, can't, and goes, you know what? I can't put my body through another surgery. I can't do this anymore. I'm retiring. They save money that way, or they still?
Nah, they don't. If he retired, but he would be a fool to retire. Like,
I agree.
Like, he ain't retired. The thing that will probably happen if, let's just say, if they don't turn this thing around, that if they don't turn this thing around, like the front office is probably out of here, dude. Like Morey,
sure.
all of them are gone.
Definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
because they gave Embiid that money, they gave Paul George this money. They did a lot of other things. You can't really get rid of these two, not right now. And I feel like, and I know you said real quick, but let's keep it 100. There's no trust anymore.
Sure.
Like, there's no trust with this organization in this city anymore. And who do they not trust? Well, they don't trust the front office. Some people don't trust the ownership group. So what's going to happen, even though some people say, and I get it, RTC, a new front office won't fix Joel Embiid's health issues. However, though, but I think the problem is with a lack of transparency, a lack of other things. Typically you have to make moves. And I do feel as if that that was probably going to happen, that they're going to get rid of people. And not only that, but a new front office won't help Joel Embiid's health issues. But Joel Embiid's health issues was a problem before he received that $193 million extension.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. All right. Hey, we got our Sixers Summer League finale tonight, Keith. 6:00 gets the Nets. Want to talk about that in a second. Also, VJ Edgecombe, whether or not he plays. We'll get into that conversation. And I got one more question, yes, and I'll wait till the end of the show to ask you, but it will be about Joel Embiid and this contract. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Yes, the Gametime app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Gametime app has you covered. We've all been there. Logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be able to be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets, basketball tickets, football tickets, baseball tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop the closer it gets to showtime or first pitch. You can save up to 60% off their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of the endless scrolling, Gametime comes in handy with Gametime Picks feature and also zone deals. With Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay, no hidden fees. So how about this? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Gametime app for concert tickets, comedy show tickets, whatever it might be, or the big game with the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's promo code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. VJ Edgecombe playing tonight?
I just want to say this. I am not, just so people don't get it right, I am not saying that the Sixers should fire people. But what I am saying is, before Joel Embiid goes, there's going to be some other heads rolling, because Joel Embiid has a contract that is going to be hard to get rid of right now. And if they don't mesh with this thing, you can try to get rid of them all you want. But what's going to happen is they're going to look at it and say, well, who helped create this problem? Who gave them this money? And that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen, I think. Now, again, so I'm not saying fire Daryl Morey, fire the rest of them. But what I'm saying is it's hard to get rid of that contract right about now.
All right. So I was going to ask this at the end. I'm going to move it up to just put a bow on it. So, look, like I said, highly unlikely that it happens. And you're right. He'd be a fool. He ain't retiring. Is the next best scenario then? Because it's after this is the beginning of the 3-year extension this year, correct?
So, well, I believe I think that it starts. I think it starts next year.
Oh, geez,
it starts next year.
Yeah, because it was 4 years.
Let me double check. I'll go talk, and we can talk, and then I'm gonna look it up right now.
All right, because my question would be, I think you're right. I think it is 4 years left as a 76er. So he's not going to retire and leave, whatever it would be, 120 million, whatever, more than that, on the table. He's not getting bought out because no one's buying out that.
Yeah, you're right. It starts 2026, 2027. Yep.
So it's this year and then the 3-year extension.
Yep.
Okay. So 4 years in total. You were right. So they're not buying him out with 4 years left. And he's not retiring with 4 years and that money left. So the next best scenario, which would be somewhat likely, would be he continues to attempt to play for a couple years. And also, hey, look, hopefully he just says, hopefully he's just healthy and he plays great. That's what we're all hoping for. We're just not betting on it. So the next best scenario is he goes a couple more years into this extension, and then instead of buying him out for like $200 million, they can buy him out for, I don't know, whatever the record would be, but this might be the new one. $100 million or something like that. Basically, they could get to the final year of the deal or final 2 years of the deal and then buy him out. That would be a slightly more likely scenario.
Yeah, but if I'm him, I'm not taking a buyout. I'm just being real, because when you buy out, typically they say, okay, we'll cut you, but we'll give you a percentage of your money. So typically guys get a buyout because they know, okay, for instance, a lot of times when dudes get a buyout, what they do is they'll take a percentage. The money that they take less is the money that they know they're going to make up. Now, if you're hurt and if you're shot and you can't play again, you're going to take a buyout and take less money?
Yeah, no.
I mean, I understand it. Now, let's just say if you felt like, okay, this is an organization that had my back. This is an organization that, this and that. I love this organization. But basically, off of this article, there's a little rift there, right? So my thing is, are you going to do him a favor? I mean, now maybe maybe he can get better, and there's a team that's going to win a championship and say, hey, we need you to play a little bit and help us win a chip, and he might decide. But if you feel like you're not going to play, I don't know if he'll take the buyout. I don't know.
Yeah, I see front office saying you guys are too far in front of the future. I agree, but the question is being asked about buyout in the chat, so I'm trying to monitor that and answer the question at the same time. So let's forget about the future for a second. Let's talk about right now. Does VJ Edgecombe play tonight in the Sixers Summer League Vegas finale, Keith?
It would be nice, but it would be nice, but I would sit him. I mean, and the thing is, the reason being is, you look around and all the other superstar rookies are starting to sit out now.
They're
and
done
just
so.
Be healthy. And then this is one of those last games. You know how it's a meaningless game at the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
And your team's a playoff team, and you're out there playing, and all of a sudden it's you're hoping and praying that they don't roll an ankle or they don't do anything crazy. I think these type of games are the games where you look at guys who, no offense, but the guy who went to Wood, right? No offense.
Andrew Funk. You put some respect on my man's name.
I mean, no offense, though, but I think this is a Funk game. This is a game where this guy, no offense to him, but this guy has been at practice. He's been busting his tail. He didn't get a lot of opportunities this summer. There are going to be some scouts in the stands from other teams, maybe two ways, some European teams, overseas teams looking at it. You got to play him. You got to give him the ball. You got to let him play extended minutes so he can have one game to really showcase what he could do. That's my opinion. That's what this game is for.
Starting five, baby. Starting five. Roll him out there representing the Catholic League. So Edgecombe doesn't play. I agree. I wanted to play too, but it just ain't going to happen. Is this going to be a Judah Mintz play tonight? Will he get run? Salas gets some run? Because Judah Mintz, I think, has been the star. As far as I'm concerned, the star. I think I referenced the 32-point game the other night. I think I said it was Salas. I meant Mintz. But anyway, does he get run tonight?
I mean, he may, but I wouldn't even play him either. I would play, the guys, because they got a lot of dudes on his team, right? If you were a starter, I think this is a game that you sit, right? And you know, he wasn't always a starter, but he became a starter. He probably will, but he became a starter because of, you know, because Edgecombe got hurt. But then he stayed. But at the same time, me personally, I kind of feel like, yo, let these guys who were there and who didn't get to play. And then another thing is, it's kind of like, let's think about the Sixers. We got this, you got PG having surgery, Joel saying he's not coming back until he's ready. And then you tanked all those games to get VJ Edgecombe. You can't afford to have him or a Dembona or any of these other guys get hurt. And I think that Mintz, you already know what he can do. Now, maybe you might want to get another look at him or have a team want to get another look at him. But to me, I feel like it's one of those things. If you want these guys to keep coming out for this summer league team, knowing they're not going to get any burn, they got to have one game where they feel like they're a part of the team.
Absolutely. I hear you. And it makes sense. And here's Kenny Grant saying, back to funk. VGs. There we go. We got references. We're a show for all ages, Keith.
I just want to know when did Funk come out of wood?
When did he come out of wood?
Yeah, you know.
I'm trying to think. We're 2017?
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, that's yeah. Well, nah, that was yeah. I don't know when you went to wood. Did y'all used to beat North Catholic or y'all used to get smoked? North Catholic.
I think I've asked you this before. North Catholic was the pit, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you I hit 1-3 in that corner, and I could barely fit my feet in that corner.
No, I know, right? Yeah.
It's shooting sideways, Keith. Shooting sideways. The only way you could fit.
It's not as bad as Roman's court.
I do remember Roman's court as well. Dude. Andrew Funk. Now it's going to bother me if I don't know it. Because he went to, where did he go? He went to Penn State, but he went to Bucknell, I think, first.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, I just realized him and I have the same birthday. That's funny. When Bucknell 2018. So 2018, 2017, 2018, he came out of wood.
Okay. All right.
There we go. How about that? Keith, a fun week of shows, my friend. Week of shows. We'll be back with you guys we'll be back with you guys on Monday for another edition of Locked On 76ers. We'll recap all the summer league, who helped their stock the most. We'll get into that. And then who knows, maybe there'll be a 20-page in-depth story on Tyrese Maxey or something that we'll break down. But we'll get to all of it when it comes to the summer league and more, obviously, on Monday's show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. My name is Marc Farzetta. That's Keith Pompey. Make sure you guys are following him on all social media platforms and reading his stories on Inquirer.com. I have you guys covered again tonight with Locked On Phillies postcast, as the Phillies are back from the All-Star break tonight for a 6:45 start time. Jesus Luzardo on the hill against the Angels. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Back with you guys on Monday. See you then.